It's others that call him such a person whose behavior patterns fit into that framework of enlightenment, that call him an enlightened man. But if there is any such person as an enlightened person, he has no way of knowing it, that he is enlightened. So to such an individual, enlightenment has no meaning at all. The only thing that becomes very clear to him is that the search for the enlightenment is not there anymore. So that individual is freed from the desire to be enlightened or to want to be enlightened. So when once you are free from that, you are free. So you are not concerned whether somebody calls you an enlightened man or not. If we take the examples of Buddha, he never called himself the enlightened, it's the others, Same Jesus, he never called himself Christ. Christ is the anointed. So they never called themselves enlightened or thought of themselves as free individuals. So you have no way of knowing that you are a free man or an enlightened man. If you have any knowledge of it, that means you are still seeking, pursuing, demanding to be enlightened. But what value has the enlightenment to the individual? What value has it?
No value.
Not at all.
Only the story was seeking.
So the search comes to an end. So if you are searching, that means you know what you are searching for. You can't search for something which you don't know. You know. So you have a knowledge about that, you see. The knowledge that you have acquired about the whole business of enlightenment. And through the help of that knowledge you experience some things, you see. So as long as you have a knowledge of any kind, that means you are still caught up in this pursuit, the demand, searching for something which you already know. It's something which you will never know. It begins to express itself, that's all. If somebody says he is enlightened, you can be sure that he is a phony. And if he goes around the world, trotting the globe, promising enlightenment, you can be doubly sure that he is a phony. Or anybody who wants to free others. Because such an individual does not know that he is free. He has no way of knowing it. So if you know that you are free, that means you have the knowledge of what that free individual is. So the knowledge about it, all that you know about that enlightenment, has to come to an end. But what value has it? To set up a holy business? Maybe yes, and collect some disciples, followers, and build up a big empire, spiritual empire, yes, may have some value. But otherwise it has no value. It is something which you cannot give it to somebody, something which you cannot share it with somebody. not something that he can transmit it to others. Because there are no two things for him. Pardon?
Maybe you can show the road, the way to go for others, because you have gone with me.
All the paths which you have followed are not really the paths. You see, the path you are following is in the direction of achieving a goal. You set before yourself the goal of enlightenment. And so you have been given so many techniques, suggested the techniques to reach your goal. So when once the goal is gone, you realize that all these paths which you are following, which you have followed, which you are still following, or which you want to follow, have no relevance at all. You have to reject, you see, all the paths that have been given to you as the paths leading you to enlightenment. So when once the whole business of enlightenment is out of your system, all the other paths recommended by others are the paths which you have yourself treaded for some time, have no meaning anymore to you. So you cannot recommend that or evolve a path of your own, because you have discarded every path which you have followed, the paths of others. That's all that you know. The paths that others followed. So, but they are not your paths, so you have no path of your own. The paths others followed are not the paths to reach your goal. What is there is only the rejection of all the paths recommended by others to reach the goal. But not, see, the only thing that you are doing is the rejection of these things. You have found for yourself that the path which you are following is not leading you anywhere. If you continue to follow the path, it's because you have a hope. Go to sleep. Yes. So there is no path. The path and the goal, they go together. As long as you have the goal of enlightenment, so long there is path. When once you are freed yourself from the burden of this enlightenment business, you are free from all the other paths. So there is no question of you are offering any path to anybody, because all those paths that you have accepted and followed are not really the paths for you. So you cannot give any path to anybody.
Also not the direction.
The one thing that you can do is to tell them that's not the way. And they naturally ask you, what is the way? So telling them that's not the way is all that is necessary. So otherwise you continue to try dozens of paths. There is not one, hundreds of paths. So when once you see this dawns on you that that is not the path, you will not try the other paths also. You just stop.
Is stopping not also a path?
If you use that as a path, you see, it is a positive approach to your goal. See, since all the positive approaches which you have pursued, followed, have not given you the desired results, you are in a very clever way adopting a negative approach, a negative path. But the goal is still a positive goal. So even though you call it a negative approach, it's a positive approach because the goal is positive. So once you are freed from the goal, the question whether a particular approach is positive or negative does not at all arise. So what you call negative approach is a positive approach because the goal you have before you is a positive goal. You want to be enlightened, you want to become a yogi, you want to be a free man, you want to be transformed. You see, want. As long as the want is there, so long there is a path. So even if you call it as a negative approach, it is not negative but positive. In India they have propounded a doctrine called the doctrine of neti neti. Not this, not this. They have built tremendous structures of philosophical thought. But when you see that, you see how it is still a positive approach because the goal you have before you is a very positive goal you want. As long as the want is there, so long the search for the path is also there. As long as you want to be enlightened, so long you will pursue this path or the other path. They go together, you can't separate the two. See, to go back to that, you see, the doctrine of neti neti, not this, not this, implies there is something there which you want to know. It is unknown. It is inexpressible. It is inexperienceable. They use all these phrases. So that means there is something which you cannot experience. Something which you cannot know, something which you cannot describe. That implies that there is something which you have some way of finding out for yourself. You see, all these things have failed, but still you see the search or the demand to know something which cannot be known is still there. I don't know. So there is no such thing as the unknown at all. So it implies that there is something that you can still do to find out and to know what you call the unknown. So because the unknown is an invention of the known. The known is pursuing the unknown. So as long as the unknown is there, you call it the unknown, but it is still part of the known. You know. You know what you call the unknown is already within the framework of your knowledge, but you just call it the unknown.
Has it something to do with our childhood, that we were in a state then that we still remember? I know what I did when I was young, to close it and to open it, to play around with it, and after that I forgot. Later on I remembered, but I couldn't turn the whole thing back, so it was gone. Has that something to do with it?
I don't understand what you are saying.
When you are a child, is that enlightenment?
The child is ignorant.
Yeah.
That's all. The child may be innocent, but he is ignorant. So he is not concerned about the unknown, he is not concerned about the reality. He is not interested in enlightenment. He is not interested in Godhood. He is not interested in any one of those things. So you superimpose these things on them, and to be able to fit into this framework, see, they also accept some of these things.
Pardon? No. They accept something of this.
Yes, they want to be accepted by the society. They want to become part of this culture. It is not just one way. You are not the only one who is demanding, pushing him to become part of this framework of your culture. But also that the young one he wants to become and be accepted, by your culture, part of this culture. I don't know, So it is not one way. You are not the only one who is pushing him to accept this framework as true and valid. But for the reasons of acceptance, for the reasons of survival, he is also interested in becoming part of this framework of our culture. This is not one way, it is both ways. So you cannot say that the child is forced by you or the circumstances, or he is forcibly made to fit himself into this framework.
It has to be that way.
But why this interest in enlightenment? And if I may ask you the question, why?
Because
people are selling that product, goodies now, you see everywhere, the gurus from India. Why? Why this sudden interest in enlightenment in the West, I'm
I
wondering.
don't know.
Why?
Certain interest.
Why?
And I'll think when you are not enlightened, you are always, you feel good, you feel bad, you feel good, you feel bad, on this, on that. You are going all the time like a yo-yo.
Yes, but what has enlightenment to do with your being good and not being good? What has that to do? Huh?
I'll think that stops them.
Has it stopped?
And it's
Has it stopped? It's just a pious wish of yours that it is going to stop.
Is it stopped?
No, I'm asking you. It will never stop. What has to stop is the demand for enlightenment, and not what is being good, not being good, not these pairs of opposites, you see. The demand for enlightenment, wanting enlightenment, for whatever reason you want it, that has to stop. How is that going to stop? Wanting to be transformed, you wanting to be something other than what you are. This becoming, you see, you want to become somebody. You have some virtues, so you feel that you are a virtuous person. You have some spiritual experiences. And so spiritual experiences become your property. You have spiritual experiences. The other individual has no spiritual experiences. So that makes you feel superior to the other individual. I have something which you don't have. I don't know. I know, you don't know. So you know a lot and then you practice humility. As long as there is any trace of knowledge about yourself or about the world around you, you are not a person. I'm not referring to you. I have to use the word you for purposes of communication. So there is no humility there. You know. It doesn't matter what you know. If you know the world around you, if you experience the world around you, if you experience your moods, if you experience all that is going on there inside of you, you cannot be a person of humility. Because you know. So I know, he doesn't know. So that gives you power. I have some spiritual powers, you see. So that is why all those who practice yoga are practicing yoga. They want siddhis, not so much the ultimate goal of yoga is to free you from the demand or the pursuit of seeking anything for yourself. So I have these siddhis, I have these powers, so that will make me somebody important. Make me feel, you see, a superior person to everybody else around you. Otherwise, what value has it? Even assuming for a moment that there are powers, what value? If you fly from here to India without going through the process of buying a ticket, that would be a marvelous thing, is it? But nobody has done it so far. They are talking about it. What will you do with levitation? Ultimately, you will hit the ceiling. What for do you want to levitate? What for?
Well, maybe it's not a matter of enlightenment or levitation or whatever thing which gives you so-called power.
What will you do with the power?
Happiness.
Overall, no, it is not happiness. You will use power.
But that's what we are after, happiness.
No, you are after power. To control others. That's all that you are interested in, you see. You want to control everybody around you. Otherwise, what value the power has, whether it is material or spiritual, it has no value. The material power, he is controlling everybody, exercising the power in exactly the same way. You will use, if there is any such thing as spiritual powers, you exercise them and control everybody, you see. That's all. Otherwise it has no value.
But is it not to take away fear? I mean, that's what I mean is being happy. Is to
Fear?
take away the fear.
Wanting to be happy is fear.
Sure.
Yes. Then how can you take away fear?
Or maybe enlightenment takes away fear.
Enlightenment
So,
takes
it's all the way to
away,
the
enlightenment takes away happiness too. They always go together. Enlightenment takes away the pleasure, not only the pain. Both of them will go. So you want to be left see, not you, somebody else. You see, you know. You see.
Yeah, but enlightenment never said anything to me because I don't dream of becoming enlightened. I dream to get rid of my fear.
How are you going to be rid of your fear? Wanting to be free from fear.
I really don't know.
You will
Trying to be happy.
You will be free from fear only when you become a corpse. Even that you don't want to. You see, because that is the fear of all fears, the fear of something coming to an end. You really do not want your fear to come to an end. The fear will come to an end only when, you see, the body becomes a corpse. It becomes a stiff, you see. You know, you do yoga to keep the body supple, but actually the yoga begins with the stiffness. You will be surprised, you know. All those who teach yoga want you to do the corpse pose at the end of your acrobatics, but the yoga starts with that you have to die. This body has to become a corpse. To start with. That is why the pose, you see, the savasana they call it, you see, the corpse pose. The first the body has to become a corpse, then begins the yoga. You see. You know, it's the other way around. But you see, you do all kinds of exercises, you are most tired, exhausted, and then you stretch yourself, and then you want to be a corpse. It's the other way around. You see, when once the body is stiff, not because you are growing old or any such thing, you see, you are advancing in age, but it has to become stiff first.
What about the brain? It doesn't become stiff.
Yes, it too. The brain too.
Then it is ultimate relaxation.
Huh?
Then that is the ultimate relaxation.
Their depth is.
So, I have to die quick.
Not committing suicide. That doesn't solve any problems. So the death is the death of your wish for happiness. wish to be happy. I want to be happy. Wanting to be happy must die. So you see, all that you are searching is, you see, to have only happiness without a trace of unhappiness, that you are not going to succeed. You can control your breath for some time and feel just great. But if you hold your breath for long, you will be choked to death. So in exactly the same way, if you control your thought through your will, through your effort for some time, you feel you are achieving something. You see, you feel just great, you are able to control your thoughts for a while. And that's only through your effort and through your will. And that creates a sort of, you see, a tension there between the thoughts. And that, you see, you translate it as energy. And you feel just great because there is an outburst of energy. But actually, if you try to control your thought for long, it's going to choke you to death. So that exercise or the demand, you see, to control your thought has no meaning at all. Because you are using thought to control thought. Using thought to create what you call a thoughtless state. But how are you going to achieve this extraordinary feat of controlling thought, using thought as an instrument to create that thoughtless state? There is a hope that somehow through some miracle, you see, you are going to achieve that goal of controlling thought through the help of thought. So what is there is only this movement of thought that is pursuing an illusory condition of a thoughtless state. So you will never succeed in doing that. You may not accept what I am saying, but because you feel that still there is something that you can do through your yoga, through your meditation, through this, that and the other, but it's just not possible. It has a tremendous momentum of the millions and millions of years. They don't belong to you. You have nothing to do with it. You are using them for the purpose of achieving certain results. Whether they are spiritual results or material results, it really doesn't matter. You are using that as a means to achieve something. They are not intended for that purpose at all. Timeless state, thoughtless state, these are all the inventions of the thought to pursue what it calls the thoughtless and timeless state. And in this process, it is assured that the thought will continue forever and end. Because the movement of thought does not want to come to an end. That is its interest. So that is why it has invented all these thoughtless and timeless states. So when you use that as an exercise to achieve some result, that gives you the feeling that you are getting somewhere. So it is the exercise that is important to you. Because there is a promise involved in that exercise that one day you are going to achieve your goal. When is that happy day going to dawn is anybody's guess.
Mr. Krishnamurti, some years ago, I was on a boat race, working day and night till exhausted, sick, physically and psychologically. At that moment, I thought I would die, for there was an end at the thinking, and there was no way back to home or no reason to continue.
Yes.
And at that moment I thought, now let's see what happened. And there was deep rest and suddenly a fountain of energy in here. Well, to relate that on not to exercise. And after that, I want to experience it
Again.
You see?
Again.
And also, I've experienced also the misuse of power of that energy. You see? And but something is or something that is well, I don't know that there is something I didn't know beforehand, you see.
Yes.
But afterwards, there is the impulse of searching.
Yes, you want that again.
Oh yes, yes.
Don't you?
Oh yes.
So it happened without your asking for it. Huh? You didn't ask for it. You didn't know. It just happened.
Yes.
So that happening has become part of your experiencing structure. And you want that again. It's something very natural to want that again.
Yes.
So since you were not involved, this movement of thought was not involved at that moment, what makes you think that by the use of this movement of thought you are going to experience that energy again? You will probably see and artificially create an energy, but which is not the same. Not the same. So demanding or wanting to experience that again is the very thing that prevents the possibility of the outbursts of energy that happen from time to time.
That's very hard to stop now.
Very hard, when once it becomes part of your experiencing structure, the nature of that experiencing structure is to demand more and more and more of that. And when you accomplish this feat of experiencing such things which are not the authentic ones but artificially created ones, then there is a demand to have that permanently.
Yeah.
It's just a hope.
Yes.
It's just a hope. You have destroyed the possibility of such things happening to you from time to time. They have no value at all. You cannot. What will you do with that energy?
Well, misuse it.
No, you can't use that at all.
Doctor.
You cannot use that at all. It is.
There was something. Well, I thought I could use, but that doesn't work.
Yes, it doesn't work.
Ruchi, can
Yes.
you relate something what you were meeting with Ramana Maharishi?
No, that's a dead past time. It is there in the book, read it. There's no point in talking about it. I saw him only for a few minutes and that was the end of it. He never impressed me. It is absurd, you see, to talk of posing yourself the question of who am I, That has become, you see, the basic teaching of Ramana Maharishi. Who am I? That means, why do you ask the question, who am I? That means there is some other I there. You want to know. I don't know. That question to me has no meaning at all. The very fact that you ask that question, who am I, implies that there are two things. The I you know, there is another I, the nature of which you do not know. So you will be better off by asking the question and get an answer, if you can, about what you know. The question who am I implies that there is some other I, the nature of which you really do not know and you want to know. I don't know if I make myself clear. Do you know anything about yourself, first of all? What do you know? Tell me.
That's what he knows.
What he has been told, where he lives, what his name is, how much money he is drawing every month, and his telephone number, how many people he has met, you see, how many experiences he has gathered during the course of his 30 years. That's all that he can tell. You see, all the books he has read, he can repeat mechanically. All the information he has gathered and all the experiences he has collected. And so that is all that is there. Why you are dissatisfied with it and why you are searching for something other than that? Can you tell me something about yourself? Other than the information that you gathered, what you know.
What I found there is not the answer. Otherwise, the questions
What?
would not persist.
No, what did you find there?
Just knowledge. Knowledge.
So that question, that idiotic question is born out of the knowledge you already have. So this is the knowledge that is there that has thrown up this question, who am I? So you want to know, and through that knowing, the knowledge you have gathers momentum. You are adding more and more and more. If there is anything to be known there, what all you know should come to an end. So by this pursuit, you see, or the demand to get an answer for that question, you are adding more and more to the knowledge. So don't you see the absurdity of the question? Who am I? It doesn't matter who suggested that, who threw that question at you, who recommended that question. There is nothing there to know. What is there is all that you know. When that is not there, there is no need for you to know anything, and there is no way of knowing anything about what is there.
But who am I is not really a question.
A statement.
Who am I is a pointer.
Yes. Where does it lead you, the pointer? Alright, if it is a pointer, what you do? You stay put there, and instead of following that, you suck the finger. I'm not, you see, trying to be rude or anything. You see, what do you do with that pointer?
The pointer points to where there is nothing to be pointed.
Yes.
Who am I takes you off. These are all nonsensical words.
That's all that this question itself is a nonsensical question.
Yes. But that it is only so if you use it as a question.
Alright. Even if you use it as a pointer, the very direction is wrong.
It's not even a pointer.
Then, alright, what is it then?
It shows you that you are. It shows you that I am. And I am is the basis.
What I am is the knowledge I have about my...
The knowledge. I am is what I am.
But what does it mean? What I am?
That doesn't have to mean anything.
Yes.
I am is not knowledge.
There is nothing there, no existence there.
Right.
Independent of the question.
Right.
Yes.
So it is the end of knowledge.
So the question should end. Because the question itself, listen, the question itself is born out of the knowledge, out of the answer. Otherwise, there is no place for any question of any kind. All questions are born out of the answers you already have. So, it is idiotic even to ask a question for which you already have an answer. But there can't be any question without an answer. It implies, the question implies that there is something about that I you do not know, or you want to know something other than the I that is already there. There is another I. I don't know.
On a certain level, yes. You can also say if you ask a question, it means that you know the answer.
Otherwise, there is no question at all. There can't be any question without knowledge. Because all questions are born out of the answers you already had. So that is the reason why, you see, a question of that kind, whether it is posed by yourself or somebody, does not want an answer for that question. The answer for any question is the end of the question. The end of the question means the end of the answer that you already have. Not only your answer, the answers that have been accumulating for centuries mustn't be there. So the demand for an answer to that question on any level, there is only one level, there are no other levels, implies that the questioner does not want the knowledge to come to an end.
Quite so. True.
Yes.
But of course, in the process of this,
that has to happen now, not at the end.
yeah,
Because there is no time. You see, the instrument which you are using, which is this process of knowledge, does not want to come to an end. That is why it is posing the question to itself, knowing very well that the question is bound to tarry on until it gets an answer. So, this knowledge, which the instrument which you are using, does not know or cannot conceive of the possibility of anything happening except in time, because it's born in time and it functions in time. Although it projects, you see, a state of timelessness, it is not interested in accepting the fact that nothing can happen except in the field of time. The question implies that there is a demand for an answer, and that answer can come only in time. And during that time, see, this has a chance of survival.
it's true what you say. However, the answer to the question, who am I, does not fall in time.
Yes. But anything that is
It
born,
is only a device, I agree with
that
you.
is to anything that is born in the field of time is time.
Yes,
The question is time.
the question is not born in time.
Then, where does it come from?
It comes from I am.
That assumption itself is time. That I am.
But I am
The
not an
experience.
assumption.
Of course. Of course it is an assumption that there is something there other than this knowledge. What is there is only the knowledge.
Do you perhaps mean with, if you say, you ask questions born out of answers you already have?
Yes, yes.
Do you mean with that, that the answer that you already have is the same as what perhaps psychology means, the mind?
I don't know what you say. You see, to me there is no mind at all. You see, the mind is the totality. It's not that I am giving a peculiar definition of mind. See, the totality of your experiences and the totality of your thoughts. As I was saying yesterday, there is no thoughts which you can call your own. There is no experiences which you can call your own. See, without knowledge you cannot have any experience. I don't know if I make myself clear. So, every time you experience through the help of this knowledge, the knowledge is strengthened and fortified. See, this is a vicious circle. It goes on and on and on and on. The knowledge gives you experiences, and the experiences fortify the knowledge you have. So the questions which you are asking are very frivolous questions, because the questions are born out of the knowledge. So if there is any answer to that question, it is not necessarily your answers, the answers that have been accumulating through centuries, you see. So there is a totality of the knowledge that has been accumulating, cumulative knowledge, cumulative experiences are there. You are using them to communicate to yourself and to communicate to others. So, there is no such thing as your mind and my mind, but there is a mind which is the totality of all the thoughts and experiences of all that has existed up to this point. I don't know if I make myself clear. So any answer that anybody gives for that question should put an end to that question. The fact that the answers given by others and the answers that you have manufactured for yourself, or the answers that these wise men who have around us is in the marketplace today, and those who existed in the past, let's not bother about those who existed in the past, are not really the answers. So any answer I give to your question cannot be the answer for that question, because the answer should put an end to the question. So if the question is shattered there, along with it, all the knowledge that is responsible for that question has also to go. I don't know if I make myself clear. So the questioner is not interested in any answer, because the answer has to blow up the whole thing. Not only what little you have known, you see, in these 30, 40 years, all that has accumulated up to that point, everything that every man thought and felt and experienced before, up to the point where the question is thrown out. I don't know if I make myself. Up to the point where the question is thrown out. I don't know if I make myself clear. I don't think I'm making myself clear. But anyway, you see, the answer, if there is any answer, should wipe out the whole thing. Oh, that's not what I mean. What I mean by knowledge is very simple information you have about things. You know. You know what is out there, and you know what is happening there inside of you. But basically, there is no outside and inside. This is all that I'm emphasizing. What separates the inside from the outside is the thought. The moment the thought is born, the thought creates the space out there and something here inside of you. The feelings you have. Happiness, you are happy, you are unhappy, you are bored, you are miserable. These are the objects there inside of you. The tree out there, the man who is asking the questions, you see, the lady who is sitting there, the knowledge of the table there, the ashtray, you see, and so on and so forth, the light there, the microphone here, that is the knowledge about the objects out there, and the knowledge about, you see, the feelings you have, the spiritual experiences you have, the blissful states, the ecstatic states, the outburst of energies, or that you are looking at your thought. I don't know if I make myself clear. So it is the thought that creates the space, and then it creates the time. So in other words, thought is space, thought is time. When the thought is not there, there is no space, there is no time. Yeah, it's metaphysics. It sounds like metaphysics, but it is so. So there is a reference point there. You see, the moment the thought is born, you are born. What you call you. And that you is the totality of all these experiences. That is passed on from generation to generation. And so anything you experience from that point is an illusion. Because that knowledge cannot help you to experience the reality of anything. Not only the objects out there, much less the reality of the things that are happening there inside of you. So you have no way of directly experiencing anything at all, except through the help of this knowledge. If the knowledge is not there, unfortunately it is there all the time, whether you like it or not. Whether you are awake or asleep or dreaming, the knowledge is there. So as long as there is, the knowledge is there, so long whatever you experience is an illusion. Not that, you see, the world out there is an illusion, or that the feelings that you have, the feeling of anger, jealousy, envy, greed, and all those things are happiness, unhappiness, misery. That is an illusion. You can say it's an illusion, but it is not an illusion because it has become possible for you to experience those things through the help of the knowledge that is put in there. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is there is no such thing as your thoughts or my thoughts, your experiences, my experiences. They belong to the whole. So there is only a, if I may use the world mind, but not your mind and my mind. Just the way we are using the air to breathe and...
It's more of a process than a thing.
So your efforts or your attempts to be an individual is well nigh impossible as long as you use that instrument to become an individual. What it can do is to create an isolated thing and put a boundary around it and make you feel that you are an individual, but you are not an individual at all. So going back to the question, there cannot be any question there at all, other than the questions that have been asked before. So there is no such thing as a question of your own which has never been asked before, and for which you already have answers. So you are only interested in confirmation. If the answer you think I am giving fits into that framework, you accept the answer. If it does not fit into that framework, you reject the answer. So no matter what you do, it really doesn't matter. That's all that you can do. Either you have to reject or accept. If you accept, it is as an act of faith, but you don't realize that that is not the answer. So the questions have to go. The questions remain there as long as the answers are there. And all those questions which you ask yourself and which you pose to others are born out of the answers that are already there.
Yeah, maybe it's a speculation matter. Imagine if someone arrives naturally at a state in which always prefabricated answers have gone out of him or her. Is it then that
It's a hypothetical situation.
What?
It's a hypothetical situation you are talking about. Throw them all out and see what happens. So anything you do to throw them all out is the very same process that you are trying to free yourself from. I don't know if you see that. Trying to control thought through thought, excuse me, is a meaningless thing.
makes it that when a thought comes up, when it gives me the feeling that it is my fault and not someone else's fault?
You just say that it is your thought, but you don't even know that there is a thought. What is there is only what you are saying, my thought. That is thought. My thought, that is thought. There is no other thought independent of that my thought. I don't know. Because you have never looked at thought. You cannot look at thought at all. The only way you can look at thought is by separating yourself from thought and looking at it. There are no two things. Thought and your thought. You say my thought.
Well, as I am here, I experience certain thoughts that gives me the feeling that that's my fault.
You have never looked at your thought. You can do it now. I ask you a simple question, what is thought? It is the answer that you have, but not thought independent of the answer. My thought, these are not my thoughts. These are good thoughts, those are bad thoughts. These are virtuous thoughts, those are vicious thoughts. These are perverse thoughts, that are highly valuable thoughts. So any answer you get to your question is the thought. There is no other thought independent of that, apart from that, or separate from the statement you are making. You can look at it now. It's a very simple thing. You will be surprised that there is no thought there other than the thought that comes into your head, which is not yours, which is a definition. Or what you have learned, what you have experienced, what you have known, all those things. That is all that is there. There are no two things there, there is only one. And that one thought is something which is not separate from you. There is nobody there who is thinking thoughts. This is all that I am pointing out. You cannot separate yourself from thought and look at thought and say, this is my thought, that is not my thought. It's an automatic process that is going on there. So the statement, this is my thought, this is not my thought, is all that is there. There is no other thought. All right. So even that statement, this is my thought, is something which cannot be separated from yourself, and put it out there and look at it. It gives you an illusion that you see you are able to look at it, but actually you are not. You see, it's like you see something moving between parallel mirrors. After all, thought is a sound. My thought is a sound. Thought is a sound, it's a vibration. You say my thought. When you say my thought, in this echo chamber, it is echoing. And that gives you the illusion that there are two. There is an echo chamber, you see, you say something, and after a few seconds you hear that repeated again. There are some spots here, I don't know if you have them here in India, you see they have some spots where you go and cry loud, say, you see, and then you see after a few seconds it bounces back and you hear your own thing. So in exactly the same way, he says, my thought. My thought is noise, is a sound. Thought is a vibration. So when once he said, this is my thought, that, you see, is reflected here in the echo chamber and gives you the illusion that he is somebody and his thoughts are separate from that somebody. But actually there is nothing there other than this statement, these are my thoughts. So you are mechanically repeating, putting all those words together. If you very carefully observe yourself, you see how it is a very mechanical process, and you create the illusion and try to look at it and say, these are my thoughts, these are not my thoughts. So there is no way of separating yourself from your thought and look at your thoughts and say, these are my thoughts, these are not my thoughts. It is just not possible for you to separate yourself from your thoughts. Huh?
Is it not that everyone in this room can at any moment start thinking a certain thought, like any positive thought or any negative thought?
You slow down, you see. When you say, let me think, huh? That gives you the illusion that you are thinking. You see, there are series of things coming, one thought after another, one thought after another, one thought after another. You have to rely upon the automatic nature of your thoughts, but you are not really thinking. So you are not thinking the thoughts. It's the other way around. The thoughts are thinking through you. You are picking up, you see, these things from the thought sphere, as it were, and using them to achieve something. You want to put across something to me and say, these are my thoughts, and what you are saying are not my thoughts, you see. So your computer has only so much of input, and whatever comes out of it, you see, is what is already there. So it is an automatic thing. It's just a computer, you know, the input and the output, that's all that is there. So if there is nothing there, you can't say anything about it. Whatever you say about anything is what you know.
No, I can see the concept or maybe the reality that thought is like if you make a comparison with air.
Listen, you see. There you are mechanically repeating those state. You are mechanically doing that. You see, that's all. It's a mechanical thing that is going on. There is nobody who is speaking here at all. Nobody. There is nobody who is speaking. It's an automatic thing. You are asking the questions, the answers are coming. But it looks and sounds as if I am giving the answers, but if you are giving the answers, I am pointing out that the answer is already there. Don't ask these questions because there are no answers. You see, all the questions which you are asking are born out of the answers you have. So I never ask any questions of any kind except the questions I need to ask to function in this world. How to go to your central station, because I am new to this place. Now I know how to go there. By bus, by walk, by taxi, every means, you know. So these questions are essential to ask, and there is always somebody to help you, to take you there, or suggest a means of getting mode of transportation or something. But all the other questions you are asking have really no answers at all. In the sense that the questions are already there. The answers are there, the questions are born out of the answers. So you really do not want an answer for the question at all. That's all that I'm pointing out. You have the answer, why the hell are you asking me the question? So this is the answer out of which your question has arisen. That's all that I'm pointing out, you know. Restructuring that, rephrasing it and throwing back at you, pointing out that question is born out of the answer you already have. If you don't have the answers, you don't have any more questions.
But I once experienced many times a state in which I thought, I had thoughts, but I was somewhere else, and I looked at my thoughts as I were looking through the table.
It's very simple.
How can you?
What were you doing? You were meditating or smoking hash?
I have had this many times.
Or smoking hash smoking hash or LSD or something? Yes.
And after meditation,
yes. So you see, when you meditate, do you know what happens? The blood pressure increases. There is an illusion that it reduces the blood pressure. You see. So then, you see, there is a danger of separating yourself from the body and looking at your own body. All that you are doing in meditation is to disturb the chemistry of your body. The body is not interested in any one of those things. It is just interested in functioning. The heart is not interested in asking those idiotic questions, how is my heart functioning? It's not asking. The body is not asking any one of those questions. But one who is interested in keeping you healthy is observing all these things, studying all these things, and gathering a lot of information from his observations and trying to help you to keep your heart in good condition. That's all. But it is not interested in asking those questions. So when you meditate or when you do yoga, when you stand on your head, you are doing one of the most absurd things. You see? And so the whole chemistry of your body is agog.
Is what?
Is disturbed, you see. And that disturbance gives you a feeling of goodness, you see. And so you attribute that to some spiritual achievement or something, you know. So when you eat food, the blood rushes to the stomach, you see. You feel happy, contented, you see. Not because of the contentment you feel, but because the blood is necessary here in the stomach and not in your head. You have all the digestive problems because you are thinking while you are eating, after your eating is over, before you are eating, so instead of letting the blood flow to your stomach, your thinking is preventing it. If you are lucky enough not to think during that time, you will feel an extraordinary peace after eating. You don't have to sit and meditate.
Are you saying that all spiritual experiences are due to disturbance of body?
Yes, certainly.
That are you telling?
Certainly. That's why they go up to the top of the mountain. You see, the oxygen level changes. So you experience all kinds of things there. The rishis there in India were sitting on the top of the mountains and experiencing all kinds of things, or they were drinking this soma juice, an equivalent of something, you see, you have this LSD and all that kind of things. And so they had weird experiences. They started describing nature, attributing those funny little experiences to revelations of some sort.
There are also certain people who talk about soma juice as
they haven't been able to find out what actually the soma was.
But that is a byproduct of the nervous system.
Yes.
That it is functioning differently.
Yes.
I heard it once.
That is why even these medicines which you take, these antibiotics, give you all kinds of spiritual experiences, hallucinations, which are similar to the spiritual experiences people experience during their meditations and yoga practice. I was surprised, my friend was taking antibiotics and the same experiences, like you see, the ants, she used to jump out of her bed and look at it. Are there bugs here or ants there? You find those descriptions in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. So you don't have to do all that. Why do you have to meditate for years and years and years? Just one pinch of that, you see. Finish, it gives you all the experience. I'm not recommending that. Please don't get me wrong, you see. Why do you have to do all that? The body is not interested in that. The peace which you create there through forcing yourself through all these meditations is very bad. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. But when you are not doing anything, then you...
What do you mean? Can there be any moment when you are not doing something?
Right, but
there is not one moment where, you see, the life is not responding to the stimulus. Not one moment.
Right.
Life is acting all the time. So the peace of the mind which you are interested in is totally alien to the functioning of this body. You are setting in motion counter movements, changing the whole rhythm of the body. I myself did yoga for years and years and years. So I know that I discovered these things for myself.
Yeah,
so how it is setting in motion the currents which are disturbing the natural rhythm of the body. I'm not saying anything against yoga. It's all right to keep the body supple, you see. I'm not saying anything to keep the body supple, you see. Enjoy the stiffness of the body. Anyway, it's going to be a stiff one day. You might as well enjoy it. So can we stop it, Can we stop it? You can delay it, you see. Postpone it, you see, for some reason.
Yogi, we have to do something.
Do something. I'm not saying anything against
No,
those.
but even meditation.
By all means, you do meditation, stand on your head, you see, do all the 150 acrobatic feats. I'm not saying anything. I'm only trying to emphasize one thing. That has no spiritual element at all, you see. That's all that I'm saying, you see. You know, the Yoga Sutras, they don't talk of these yoga asanas at all. Patanjali says, just sit in in a corner in a comfortable posture, he says. That's all. And how out of that statement of his 150 yogic postures they have created, these are all the bored people, you see. You know, the Indians are very clever. They have also not only written books on yoga, but also on sex, you see, Kama Sutras. 1,000 ways of kissing, 1,000 varieties of sex postures. When sex becomes a bore, a terrible bore, because sex is very repetitive, you see, you know, then you have to have all those things, you know. Now there are so many books published in America, the doctors, you know, not 1,000, 10,000 postures, very inventive they are. So in exactly the same way, you see, you have to invent all those postures, you know. 150, I think they have 160. I don't know how many they have. The Light of Yoga, Iyengar's book gives 150. So the walking, running, that movement is enough for the body. Yes, true, we are leading very sedentary lives. You see, there is no movement. We are not running like the dogs there. Here the dogs are so very well fed. You see, in other countries, they have to run around for their food. That exercise is enough for them. But we are sitting here, you know, before the tables and leading sedentary lives. Maybe some kind of exercise is necessary. You know. 1,800 steps if you take in this house, that is good enough for your body. You know, even that is too much. You know, we have all the gadgets there. The movements of your hand. Walking from top to down to your first floor, that's enough for the body.
Maybe those posters were for those people at that time valuable.
They had nothing else to do. You know, sit in some forest there. Fantasize all kinds of things, you see. You know, the spiritual fantasies recorded and passed on from generation to generation. Just the way you have these sexual fantasies, autoeroticism of some sort. There is no difference between the two, that's all that I am saying. But in a particular culture, the emphasis is made beyond reasonable emphasis, you see. Reasonable is something so difficult to define. But it's not going to make you any more spiritual than others.
Are you saying then we are what we are already?
We don't want to be, you don't want to accept that fact. But you want to know what you are. That's the problem. You have no way of knowing it at all. Wanting to know what is there is impossible. That is always related to what you want to be. What you see here is the opposite of what you would like to be, what you want to be, what you ought to be, what you should be. What do you see here? You want to be happy, so you are unhappy. Wanting to be happy creates the unhappiness here. What you see here is the opposite of your goal of becoming happy, wanting to be happy. Wanting to have pleasure all the time creates the pain here, see. So wanting and thinking, they always go together. They are not separate. Anything you want creates pain because you begin to think. Wanting and thinking, if you don't want a thing in this world, there is no thinking. That does not mean the thoughts are not there. Whether you want to achieve material goals or spiritual goals, it really doesn't matter. Wanting, I'm not saying anything against wanting. Want means the fulfillment of the want or non-fulfillment of the want is possible only through thinking. So the thinking has really created the problem for you. What I am suggesting is that all the problems we have cannot be solved on psychological and ethical level. Man has tried for centuries to solve them, but he has failed. And what keeps him going still is the hope that one day, by doing this more and more of the same, he will achieve. But the body, as I was saying, has a way of resolving these problems, because you see, it cannot take them. The sensitivity of the sensory perceptions is destroyed by whatever you are doing to free yourself from whatever you want to be free from. So it is destroying the sensitivity of the nervous system here. The nervous system has to be very alert for the survival of this living organism. It has to be very sensitive. Your sensory perceptions have to be very sensitive. Instead of allowing them to be sensitive, you have invented what is called the sensitivity of your feelings, the sensitivity of your mind, the sensitivity towards every living things around you, sensitivity to the feelings of everybody that is there. And this has created a neurological problem. So all the problems are neurological, not psychological and not ethical. That's the problem of the society. The society is interested in status quo. It doesn't want to change. The only way it can maintain the status quo or the continuity is through this demand, you see. The demand that everybody should fit into this structure. Whereas every individual is a unique individual. Physically speaking, it's a unique individual. Nature is creating something unique all the time. It is not interested in a perfect man. It is not interested in a religious man. So we have placed before man the goal or the ideal of a perfect man, a truly religious man. So anything you do to reach that goal of perfection is destroying the sensitivity of this body. It is creating violence here. It is not interested in that. So the whole thing is set on the wrong way. So the day man, you see, experienced whatever he experienced, this is self-awareness, self-consciousness, he sowed the seeds of the total destruction of man. So all those religions have come out of that divisive consciousness in man. So all those teachings of those teachers will inevitably destroy mankind. So there is no point in reviving all those things and starting revivalistic movements. That is dead, finished. So anything that is born out of this division in your consciousness is destructive, is violence. It's because it's trying to protect not this living organism, not the life, but interested in protecting the continuity of thought. And through that it can maintain the status quo of your culture or whatever you want to call it, the society. So the problems are neurological. If you give a chance to the body, it will handle all those problems. But if you try to solve them on psychological level or on ethical level, you are not going to succeed.
What do you mean by giving a chance to the body?
Anger is here. Where is anger? In your stomach you feel it, you see, in the base, you see here. So it is handling, but if you beat your husband or wife or your neighbor or you see, beat the pillows, you are not going to solve that problem. It is already absorbed. And you are only enriching these therapists who are making money out of that. You see. You hit your wife, husband, anybody you want, you see. And that's all that you can do, nothing else. But still, you see, it is the function of the body to handle that and absorb it. It has arisen here. It is something real there for the body. It doesn't want this anger because it is destroying the sensitivity of the nervous system. So it is absorbing the whole thing. You don't have to do a thing. Any energy that you create through this thinking is destructive for this body. Because the energy cannot be separated from life here. It is one continuous movement. So all the energies you experience as a result of playing with all those things is not of any interest to the functioning, the smooth functioning of this living organism. It is disturbing the very harmonious functioning of this body. There is a very, very peaceful thing. The peace there is not, you see, this innate dead silence you experience. But it's like, you see, a volcano erupting all the time. That is silence, that is peace. The blood is flowing, you see, through your veins like a river in spade. You see, if you try to magnify the sound of the flow of your blood, you will be surprised. Like the roar of the oceans. So if you put yourself in an what do they call it? Soundproof room, you will not survive even for 5 minutes. You will go crazy because you can't hear, see, the noises that are there in you. The heartbeat of your heart is something which you cannot take in. So you love, you see, to surround yourself with all these sounds, and then, you see, you create some funny experience called the experience of a silent mind, which is ridiculous, absurd. That is the silence that is there, the roar of an ocean, like the roaring of the flow of blood. That's all it is interested in, not your state of mind or the experience of a silent mind. It is not interested in your practice of virtues, not interested in practice of your silences. Body has no interest in the dilemma of your moral dilemma or whatever you want to call it, moral problems. It's not interested in your virtues or vices. As long as you practice virtues, so long, you see, you will remain a man of vice. They go together. If you are lucky enough to be free from this pursuit of virtue as a goal, along with it, you see, the vice also goes out of your system. You will not remain a man of vice. You will not remain a man of violence as long as you follow some idea of becoming a non-violent, kind, soft, gentle person. So long you will remain the opposite of it. A kind man, a man who is practicing kindness, a man who is practicing virtues, is really the menace, not the violent man.